Hello everybody, good morning, welcome to the United Stand. Carbridge for the latest Manchester United news. Wasn't expecting to be doing one this morning because it is a bank holiday in the UK, but we have got some big updates for you. First of all, we're talking about Tchouameni and an update from Fabrizio Romano. We'll also be talking about Milinković-Savić, Neves, Ronaldo and a few other bits as well as a few bits that were spoken about on the 8 o'clock show last night that I wasn't on, about Jesse Lingard potentially staying, about Paul Pogba having his best offer by Manchester United and whether he should stay as well. So look, match day today, massive game against Brentford, really looking forward to it. Results have gone our way again this weekend. Wolves losing, West Ham losing. I really think from our last three games, if we get 4 points, we probably will still get sixth place, but we should be looking to get 6 points, hopefully 9 points. So big game tonight, United need to win. If we don't win tonight, we sort of open that door up to the Conference League, which nobody wants. Which of course is sort of a nice lead into the fact that Tchouameni to Manchester United, to me, doesn't make a lot of logical sense when you've got people like Liverpool interested. Champions League, one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world at the moment. The last 7 days have shown that Tchouameni is certainly a player on their radar, and I think Liverpool move so quick and swiftly. I think about deals like Fabinho that 8 o'clock at night they're linked, 9 o'clock they've signed him. So I think with Liverpool being in for Tchouameni, that could lead to a deal happening very, very quickly. But Fabrizio Romano is saying that Premier League move for Tchouameni seems to be something that is a recurring theme. And not only that, that watch out for Liverpool and Manchester United. Now, this is interesting because I think you should always do your research, and we've had Fabrizio on the channel many a time, and we've mentioned Tchouameni many a time, and I certainly remember last summer this was a player that we weren't interested in. I remember having that conversation with Fabrizio, and I think time and time again since January we've had that conversation, and it's not really been that deep. So are we now seeing some positivity because we are interested, which is something quite new over the last few weeks and months, or is our name just being used because Premier League and we need a holding midfielder? And that's the sort of trap that you're in at the moment as a Man United fan, is that there's a lot of holding midfielders out there and we'll be linked to all of them. Tchouameni for me is up there with Declan Rice. I wouldn't move for Declan Rice because of the fee, and I think he wants to go to Chelsea, but he would be a fantastic CDM. I wouldn't move for I would move for Tchouameni, but I think he's going to be a very, very difficult deal to do. So, look, if Liverpool want him, I can't see why I wouldn't go to Liverpool. Having said that, I do feel that it's interesting in the sense that, can United do a deal like that? It seems like he wants to come to the Premier League. There's no doubt about that. There's a wasp desperately trying to get in here. You got no chance, mate. Absolutely no chance. My defence ain't like United's. You can't. You can land and you can walk around the rim as much as you like. You're not getting in. So yeah, every time I do, it's either swans or pineapple sellers, and now it's a wasp. They're probably waiting for me to come out. It's probably an Arsenal fan in another life. Anyway, so yeah, I think that Tchouameni to Manchester United is the dream signing. I certainly think that he would be a player. And what I would add to that is that we may not have been linked to Tchouameni. We may not have been linked to certain players, but we can't write them off, because is that not the whole point of Erik ten Hag being the new manager at Manchester United, or Ralf Rangnick recommending players? Who we were looking at a year ago is completely irrelevant now, because, look, Neves, we'll talk about him in a minute. We were in for him last summer. He was on the list, but Ten Hag wasn't the manager last summer. Rangnick wasn't at the club last summer. The recruitment system was very different last summer. And of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was in charge. So Neves may be more of a target. He may be less of a target. But Tchouameni will be a target for United now because he fits the bill. He's young, he's hungry, and he is going to be a player that is going to be absolutely superb in the future. So I think that in relation to that, I do think United will be looking at him. Whether we can do the deal or not, I don't know. But I suppose hopefully it's the start of something. It certainly seems like he wants to come to the Premier League, and we've heard that time and time again for a while. So I don't know why I'm still worried that this wasp is going to get in, even though I know it's not going to. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with Tchouameni. But I do agree that this Premier League move is looking more and more likely, because I always felt he was going to Real Madrid, but we keep hearing time and time again that the Premier League. So let's see if anything develops on that. He would be the A-star CDM. In relation to other options, this Milinković-Savić story, if you've seen the quote, I've seen some, United aggregators on Twitter accounts that I like, and they've gone and posted this quote from Kesman, who is Milinković-Savic's agent. Now, if you remember, a couple of days ago, I spoke about this and said it was a fake quote. it's now being regurgitated all around different aggregator accounts saying Kesman said that we've had an offer from Manchester, he wants to come to Manchester. 48 hours ago, it was out and I'd seen it and I searched it everywhere and I couldn't find it. I spoke to a couple of journalists and they said it's a fake quote. Now, I think what's happened is that fake quote has just hung around long enough for a couple of, maybe credible outlets to think it's true. But I can't find the original source of this. So Kesman saying that Milinković-Savić has an offer from United and is coming to Manchester, I believe it's a fake quote. But even if it's not a fake quote, I think it's an agent trying to generate interest around him. I don't see Milinković-Savić coming to Manchester United. There was more chance of this happening 5 or 6 years ago under Mourinho. I think he's looking for a big contract or another move in Italy. Never say never. Look, as I said, I can't be a hypocrite. The reality is United have got a new manager and Ranić, and maybe they like Milinković-Savić, but I really think there's nothing in that. Neves, we're looking at Neves, which I think is interesting. There's an update on Darwin Núñez as well, so we'll do them both together. Darwin Núñez, Damarcio's saying that the Premier League move is most likely. I think, again, this is like Tchouameni. You could get really excited about it, but Arsenal want a striker. There are, Newcastle want a striker. I suppose the problem with United is if you end up in the Conference League, the only pull you've got is Manchester United, because Newcastle will offer more money and say that we're more progressive. So you can't say that it's not possible that Darwin Núñez could go to Newcastle. So Damarcio's saying Darwin Núñez to the Premier League. I suppose that's a step forward, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be us. I think that he is the right sort of player. Somebody sent me a quote. I don't know whether this is true. Maybe you can check it out. I think it was James Ducker saying that Ronaldo is likely to stay at Manchester United. I couldn't find it before I went live. It was dropped into a group chat. I don't know whether that's an old story or whether it's fresh or not. But I am leaning towards the fact that Ronaldo will stay. I think that the only way he leaves is if he gets a Champions League club willing to give us 10 million and him £500,000 a week. And I think only PSG can do that. And I don't know whether they want to do that. So therefore, I think Darwin Núñez, Ronaldo, could that dynamic work? I think it could. I think the World Cup is useful for both players. They will both want game time and stability going into the World Cup halfway through the season. Are you going to get stability if you're Ronaldo moving? Maybe wants a bit of stability going into the World Cup. Also, sharp going into the World Cup, so he'd like to share that role, not be playing Thursday, Sunday every week. So I think he'd welcome a striker like Núñez, and Núñez would probably welcome working with Ronaldo for a season, whilst also knowing that the pressure's not on him at United going into a World Cup himself, but also taking on a big move, knowing that he's not going to start every game, but he's going to start a lot of games, he's going to play a lot. So I think Núñez is an interesting player, but it's just whether United can do that deal. And we'll have to just watch the space on that one. In relation to Neves, Ruben Neves, I like it. I like that deal. I think a lot of people like it. It's a safe deal. He's Premier League proven. I think he'd be reasonably priced. I don't believe the 100 million. I think United are scouting him. My only concern with that all along has been Barcelona. So we'll see what happens with that. And then we're talking about people leaving the club potentially. And I saw a very interesting story yesterday, and I know it was covered on the 8 o'clock show, which you can check out, which I really enjoyed last night with a brandy, because I'm away obviously, and be back for the watch along this evening. Don't worry about that. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. But I think with regards to the stories I heard yesterday, that Lingard might be persuaded to stay by Ten Hag because he's a Man United fan and, boy through and through, and Pogba's best offer on the table is United, so if it's about the money, he will stay. These two players, well, first of all, we shouldn't be putting an offer to Lingard, and we shouldn't have the best offer on the table for Pogba. I would question the club here. I think any logical fan would say it's time to part ways with Paul Pogba. And I'm a fan of Paul Pogba, and I know that there are United fans who are a fan of Paul Pogba, but it's time to part ways. We should not have the best offer on the table. He's been here 6 years. It's not worked, and it's not going to work over the next 3 years. So I think there's no frustration towards Pogba for me. But basically, Pogba's future is in Pogba's hands, and it's whether he wants a football career or to earn money. It frustrates me, Manchester United's role in this, to be honest. It really frustrates me that United potentially have got an offer on the table that is better than anybody else's. Based on what? Who at Manchester United is putting a massive pay increase offer on the table for Paul Pogba? What has he done to justify that? And that's the question. Whether you want Pogba to stay or not, why are Manchester United putting an offer like that on the table? And these are the worrying things about how the club's run. But Pogba should be leaving. Man United should be letting him go. Are they doing it just because he cost 90 million and they want to preserve his value? There was a very interesting point in The Athletic today saying that Matt Judge and Ed Woodward basically kept people on contracts, which we know, because they wanted to protect their value. So people like Eric Bailly last year had 1 year left on his contract. There's a 3-year deal. We protect his value. That's no way to run a football club. Jurgen Klopp doesn't run Liverpool by saying, well, I know he's got 1 year left on his contract and he's not part of my plans, but let's keep him here as part of my squad so that the club can protect value. That's why we're not moving forward. These mistakes need to be moved on. And Jesse Lingard's another player, I'm sorry. He's 29. If he has a conversation with Erik ten Hag and ten Hag says, you've got a future at my club, then you've got to respect that. But what is a rebuild when you are using players who are 29, have been here for, 15, well, he's been here a lot longer, but as a first team, on the edge of the first team, 10 years, he's not good enough. He's not good enough, and he doesn't want to be a bench player. So I don't logically understand what the point in keeping Lingard is. If Erik ten Hag says he really wants Lingard and he's going to be a first team player, you've got to utilise that. I've said it myself. If ten Hag wants something, you've got to agree with it. Whether we agree with it or not, deep down, you've got to go with it. But logically, again, for Lingard, you could play first team football somewhere. You're free for your career. If you want to play for England, you've got to go. But I mean, this has happened time and time again with Lingard. Like last summer, he had a great loan at West Ham. He should have gone to West Ham. He listens to Solskjaer, who says, "Oh, you're going to be part of my plans," and he wastes a year of his career. I just think it's time to cut loose, and I don't believe that Lingard will stay at Manchester United. It would be embarrassing if we gave him a 3-year deal at 29. He's not done anything to justify it. And for me, Lingard is one of the players that's walked on the pitch, especially at the Etihad with Rashford, and looked like he's visibly not been there. So, this season, this last few months, there are certain players at United that just haven't engaged to the level that they can do. And unfortunately, with Rashford, with Wan-Bissaka, with Bruno at times, with plenty of other players, Lingard is in that category. So the issue is whether a new manager comes in, has a chat and says, I like your style, I like your attitude, I want you to be part of my journey. We've got to, I'll sit here and logically say that we've got to back the manager on what he decides to do. But for me, I wouldn't be keeping Lingard at the club. I mean, I suppose it's the same as if he has a chat with Cavani. I don't want Cavani to stay. Is he going to have a chat with Cavani? Is he going to have a chat with Mata or Matic? I mean, I don't want any of those players to play. And that's a really good point. It's not just Lingard I don't want to stay. I don't want Pogba to stay. I don't want Cavani to stay. I don't want Mata to stay. And I don't want Matic to stay. But if you look at Matic and Mata, they've given more in the last few weeks than any of those players. But it's just time to turn a new page. Lingard, for me, is just not good enough. Pogba is good enough, but it's time to turn a page. And Cavani's always injury prone. So I wouldn't keep any of those 5 players. It's not about agenda. It's not about talent. It's just about we need to turn a new page. And to me, if you keep Matic for another year, or you give Lingard a 3-year deal, or you keep Pogba here for 3 more years, how is that turning a new page? And maybe Ten Hag's not. I really hope Erik ten Hag has somebody feeding him information on the feel of the club, because you can get told stuff by Rangnick, you can get told stuff by players, you can get told stuff by Fletcher and Murta, you can get told stuff by the board, but the feel of the club comes from the fans. And I hope that Erik ten Hag has somebody, not like it's massively important, but somebody telling him the feel of the fans, because the feel of the fans is really important, because the feel of the fans over the last 9 years is frustration, waste of money, nowhere near where we need to be, and a squad that really needs chopping down and rerouting. And I think that when we talk about those players that are leaving and some of the players we want to leave as well, I don't think there's much patience in the fan base to go, yeah, let's give Matic another year. Let's give Lingard 3 years. Let's keep Eric Bailly. Let's give Martial another chance. Now, some people might individually like some of those things, but ultimately, this is a chance to get rid of 10, 11, 12 players, bring 5 in and have a proper rebuild. And I personally don't have much appetite for a Lingard or a Pogba or a Cavani or a Matic or a Mata staying on. And I really like Matic and Mata these last few weeks, but it is time. It's time for a new start at Manchester United, definitely. But look, I really hope we do get Tchouameni. I think it's going to be difficult. But first of all, let's get 3 points tonight against Brentford. We'll basically have Europa League football sorted, and then we can start playing a bit of the youth, and then we can start feeling a little bit more confident about our transfers, because at the moment, Liverpool can speak to Tchouameni and go, we're definitely in the Champions League next year, and we're going to be trying to win it. United are like, yeah, we think we're going to be in the Europa League and the rebuild starts here, but you'll definitely be playing on a Thursday night. It might be the Conference League. So let's get this one tonight. Anyway, look, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you all have a good day. We will be live tonight for the watch along. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Something a little bit different for you today. But look, I thought you needed an update. So I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.